Good day, my fellow Jamaicans. Welcome to the Jamaica News Report channel, where we celebrate the legends, icons, and business masterminds who shaped Jamaican culture. Today, we dive deep into the life and legacy of one of the most influential voices ever to grace Jamaican airwaves, the one and only Barry Gordon, better known as Barry G The Boogie Man. Although he sadly departed this earth much too soon, we reminisce of the precious memories that will forever be etched into our hearts. This is the story of how one man's charisma, wit, and booming voice revolutionized radio entertainment, became the soundtrack of an entire generation, and turned his name into a brand known across Jamaica, the Caribbean, and the diaspora. Before we proceed, please do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to get notification when we release more Jamaican videos. Thank you. Barry G's journey began in the quiet town of Maypen, Clarendon, a place known for sugar, sun, and serious talent. From an early age, young Barry showed signs that his voice was his gift. Teachers and classmates would joke that he could command attention without raising a hand, just by talking. But who could have known that this boy from Clarendon would go on to become the voice of Jamaica itself? He began his radio career in the 1970s at the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation, the famous JBC, back when radio was king and every Jamaican household had a radio humming in the corner. Back then, the job of a radio announcer was serious business. Polished English, perfect timing, no mistakes. But Barry G came with a twist. The young KC graduate brought energy, humor, and an electric personality that made Jamaicans feel like their friend was on the air. He didn't just talk to the people, he talked with them. His natural ability to blend entertainment, information, and cultural education made him stand out in an era dominated by traditional broadcasters. By the early 1980s, Barry G was unstoppable. He joined Radio Jamaica, RJR, where he introduced his signature style, lightning-fast delivery, jokes that cut like a knife, and music selections that could make even the sternest Jamaican tap their feet. His famous tagline, "This is the Boogie Man," became a household phrase. Children would shout it in the streets, bus drivers would echo it on the road, and shopkeepers would crank up the radio every afternoon just to hear what Barry G had to say next. In an era before social media, Barry G was social media. His show connected communities from Negril to Morant Bay. But Barry G wasn't just about jokes and vibes. He was a master of radio strategy. He understood timing, psychology, and audience connection. He introduced a form of competitive radio never seen before in Jamaica. The most famous of all, his legendary rivalry with Don Topping from JBC. It was like Ali versus Frazier, but on the airwaves. Jamaicans would literally tune in to hear who would outdo the other in wit, music selection, and energy. Barry G's midday massacre was unmatched. He turned radio into a sport, and he was the champion. Sponsors flocked to him. Advertisers wanted his slot. Businesses knew that if Barry G mentioned your name on air, sales would skyrocket. Barry G was also deeply rooted in the dancehall culture. He was the main selector for the popular Wadat sound system out of Mandeville, and who can forget his many memorable clashes with British radio DJ Radigan. Those clashes all across the world are still being talked about today, even though that was over 40 years ago. But behind the booming voice and laughter was a man deeply committed to education, culture, and empowerment. Barry G used his platform to highlight Jamaican heritage, promote local artists, and encourage young people to believe in themselves. He was one of the first broadcasters to push reggae and dancehall on mainstream radio unapologetically, helping to legitimize Jamaican music as a global force. When others treated reggae like a fad, Barry G called it a movement, a reflection of the Jamaican spirit, struggle, and pride. During the 1990s, as media evolved, Barry G continued to innovate. He took on new challenges, moved between radio stations like KLAS, Power 106, and Mellow FM, and proved that true talent transcends any platform. Wherever he went, listeners followed. He had that magnetic pull, an energy that couldn't be taught. His voice could calm, excite, educate, and entertain all in one breath. Barry G was more than a radio man. He was a teacher, a comedian, and a counselor to a nation. One of the most fascinating parts of Barry G's career was his ability to balance entertainment with intellect. He didn't just play music, he broke down lyrics, discussed social issues, and brought depth to discussions that other hosts avoided. He would roast politicians one minute and praise farmers the next, all while keeping the crowd laughing. He had an uncanny ability to hold the attention of millions without a script, just raw talent and timing. Over the years, Barry G became an ambassador for Jamaican culture. He hosted major national events, emceed concerts, and became a sought-after figure for everything from brand endorsements to cultural campaigns. But he always remained humble, grounded, and connected to the people. Whether he was in the studio or walking down Halfway Tree, Barry G carried the same energy, that confident and magnetic smile that said, "The Boogie Man is in the house." His legacy also stretches beyond radio. Barry G inspired an entire generation of broadcasters, from radio personalities like Muta Baruka and Elise Kelly to newer talents who studied his cadence, humor, and mastery of audience connection. He was a pioneer who broke the mold, showing that being Jamaican on air didn't mean sounding British, it meant sounding authentic. Barry G also understood business. He leveraged his fame into brand deals, voiceover contracts, and event hosting opportunities long before influencer marketing was a thing. In the 1980s and 90s, when others were simply earning a paycheck, Barry G was building a brand. That business mindset is part of why he was still relevant decades later. His voice remained in demand for commercials, documentaries, and national campaigns, because when Barry G spoke, Jamaica listened. But what makes his story even more powerful is the emotional connection he built with his audience. Listeners would call in not just to win prizes or request songs. They called in because they trusted him. Barry G was like family. He celebrated their joys, shared their pain, and carried the mood of the nation. During times of hardship, hurricanes, economic struggles, political tension, Barry G used humor and music to remind Jamaicans that better days were coming. His show wasn't just entertainment, it was therapy for the island. As technology evolved and younger listeners turned to streaming, Barry G adapted again. He embraced new platforms, used social media to stay connected, and continued to make appearances that reminded everyone why he remains the Boogie Man. Even today, clips of his iconic shows and sound bites go viral, sparking nostalgia for an era when radio ruled and Barry G was its king. Let's not forget the cultural ripple effect he created. Barry G's rivalry with Don Topping and later with other announcers helped shape Jamaican radio into what it is today, energetic, engaging, and full of personality. Without Barry G, there might not be the modern style of radio we enjoy now, with its blend of humor, commentary, and music that truly represents Jamaican life. Outside of the studio, Barry G was also known as a family man and a man of faith. Those close to him describe him as disciplined, deeply spiritual, and incredibly humble despite his fame. He never forgot where he came from, and he constantly used his platform to motivate youth from humble beginnings to aim higher. He once said in an interview that a voice is not just for sound, it's for service. That quote perfectly captures the essence of Barry G. In 2007, Barry suffered from a stroke and did not go back to work until 2010 when he joined Mellow FM. In the wake of his stroke, he started the Barry G Foundation, through which he promotes healthy lifestyles. In the past couple years, rumors started circulating online about the health of Barry G. There was even many times when he had to come on camera to dispel stories of his untimely passing. Even though he kept a brave face for the cameras, behind the scenes, his health had started to deteriorate. He was eventually admitted to the Savannah Lamar Hospital in Westmoreland and passed away on October 29th, 2025 at the age of 70. The news of Barry G's death was confirmed by Michael Chambers, his friend of 50 years. Chambers gave Barry G's cause of death as pneumonia. Today, his legacy lives on not only through the countless broadcasters he inspired, but through the millions of Jamaicans who still smile when they hear his name. His contribution to the island's cultural landscape can't be overstated. He didn't just entertain, he united. He turned radio into a shared experience, one that connected every class, every parish, every age group. In a way, Barry G's life mirrors Jamaica itself, vibrant, bold, witty, and full of rhythm. From the days of analog microphones to digital streaming, his voice carried through every generation like a familiar melody. And while the Boogie Man is gone, his spirit echoes through every Jamaican radio jingle, every witty announcer's punchline, and every radio battle that gets the island buzzing. Barry G The Boogie Man showed Jamaica what's possible when talent meets authenticity. He proved that personality, passion, and purpose can turn a single voice into a national treasure. His story reminds us that true legacy isn't about fame, it's about impact. And Barry G's impact is forever etched into Jamaica's cultural DNA. So here's to Barry G, the radio genius, the entertainer, the teacher, the boogie man who made us laugh, dance, think, and feel proud to be Jamaican. His life and legacy remind us that long before YouTube and TikTok, there was one man with a mic, a booming laugh, and an island hanging on to every word. Thanks for watching Jamaica News Report. If you grew up listening to Barry G, drop a comment below with your favorite memory or quote. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more Jamaican videos.